Hello and welcome to Basiltov, the courage and creativity of ADHD. I'm Jen,
I'm Ellen.
And I'm Annette.
and we have decided that we're going to discuss another fun Reddit question today. So, everybody who's here, or like probably a lot of people who are here, they either know they have ADHD or they know somebody who has ADHD and they're kind of here to learn. Well, we all kind of come into this from a place of learning and discovery, and it's like a whole new world as soon as you get that fresh diagnosis, right? Well, we're going to talk about things we wish we'd known about ADHD originally, either very shortly before we got our diagnosis or like right at the time that we got it. And I think Annette also has some really interesting information from a doctor to discuss, correct?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
exactly.
Ooh, a
So
professional.
this should be
Yes, an
fun.
actual professional.
Mm.
Well, you're a professional. You deal with ADHD all the time.
We're professional
Right. Oh, don't we all?
bullshitters. Yep.
Yeah, so like I do, I've been scouring Reddit, and last week we also talked about, a Reddit post that I'd posted about ADHD burnout, but this is one that I had done even before that post. And I just wanted to know what were some of the things that people wished they had known about having ADHD that would have been really helpful from the beginning. And the reason I asked that is because there's a lot of people who are tuning into this podcast or who are searching the internet for answers because they've just found out they've had ADHD and this is a new world for them. So what are the things that you wish you had known at the first diagnosis right away that would have made your life a little easier, or being able to come to grips with having ADHD a little easier? And the number one answer on this thread that I posted was that I had ADHD.
We all
And
wish.
I feel that so hard.
Yeah.
I know, right?
Yeah, I think we all wished that we had known that we had ADHD, because all three of us got diagnosed as adults. There's so many women being diagnosed as adults
Yeah.
now. And it's like,
Yeah.
if I had known that I had ADHD when I was younger, it would have made things so much easier to handle. And I wouldn't have so much like feelings of failure.
Yeah, the guilt and
Because of-
shame.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah. So
exactly.
yeah. Do you jive with that? Do you wish you had known that you had ADHD a long time ago?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, instead of thinking, "Oh, I'm so lazy, I'm so forgetful, what's wrong with me?" It would have been really nice to
Mhm.
know, "Oh, actually there's something about your brain that's causing all these issues and it's not your fault, but you just have to figure out how to navigate that." you know, take the
Yeah,
morality out of it. You're not a bad person. You just have ADHD.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. How about you, Jen?
I'm gonna say yes, of course, but with the caveat that I had some major suspicions that I had ADHD like years before I got diagnosed. I can't remember how many years exactly because ADHD, but I remember like for years and years going, I really think this is a problem. And I had looked up the symptoms and done the whole thing that you're not supposed to do with like WebMD and bullshit like that. Um, but I really strongly felt that something was amiss, that I had something that was different about me than other people have. And I I would have given anything to have had somebody who would have taken that seriously as soon as I had those suspicions. Um, that would have been awesome. So I think what I would have wanted mostly was somebody to just take it seriously because I had already kind of figured it out.
hmm
But yeah,
Yeah.
it would have been lovely to know way
Oh,
before,
but
like when I was a teenager or even a little
well,
kid.
yeah, in the 80s and 90s though, ADHD didn't exist in girls. We had
Oh
no
no.
idea.
No.
Yeah, we
So
were just,
that didn't help.
little brats that ran around and screamed, and we had bad attitudes, and we were airheads, and we were forgetful and lazy
Sassy.
and sassy, and we had so much going on. Like, there's just so many judgments lobbed at us.
Oh, so many.
And yeah, so it would have been really, really nice if we had had that diagnosis back in the day, for sure.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Like little boys, they don't have that. You don't hear people talking about little boys like that. Like, oh, they're just so chatty. Like,
Mhm.
I know, right?
oh,
God, they just won't shut up.
yeah, yeah.
Like,
Even though they don't shut up, a lot of little boys with ADHD, they're
Yeah.
constantly talking and
mhm.
moving, but yeah, especially for little girls, those symptoms are just kind of chalked up to something else, I guess, a lot of the time. So yeah, most of the women I know with
Yeah.
ADHD that are our age, they were just diagnosed in the last like 5 years or so. It's so
Yeah.
recent
Yeah.
still.
Usually after they have kids that go in for
Yeah.
an ADHD diagnosis, and the psychologist will look at them and be like, "You might wanna check that out in yourself." Like,
Yes, that is such a common story that I hear. Exactly.
it
Yeah.
is, yeah,
Hmm.
totally
Yeah.
common, and I had to have my son diagnosed first in order to be taken seriously, and that's how I ended up with my own diagnosis, because somebody was like, "Oh, you have a son with ADHD," and all of a sudden, that had changed everything.
Hmm.
Like,
Yep.
Yeah,
couldn't
that's
believe it.
interesting because my sister had gotten diagnosed young because she had had other problems and had to go through counseling and lots of things. And um, but my parents always assumed because I was high functioning that I was fine,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
so I didn't even have a clue. And I was, I had studied ADHD, and I never really kind of connected the dots until I was complaining to my friend about something, and my friend is a psychiatrist, and I was just like, I don't understand why I do this and this. And she goes, because you have ADHD, you dumbass. And I was like, wait, what? And she was like, wait, you aren't diagnosed? And I was like, no. And she goes, dude, here's the name of a friend of mine. Go get assessed. And so I went and I got assessed, and it came back glaring. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, well, okay, that's interesting. But I think in this realm of like things that I wish I had known about ADHD, I wish I had known that so many of the annoying behaviors that I have and I had when I was a kid were because of ADHD.
Yeah.
Like excessive talking, excessive energy, not being able to pay attention to something very well, not being able to formulate my thoughts into coherent sentences very well. Like these things that I do that I hate about myself, that I'm just like, why do I do that? Why can't I freaking remember a doctor's appointment? Like everybody else can do it. Why can't I do it? And I
Mm.
wish that I had known that I had ADHD so that I knew that these were not character flaws, that there was an actual reason why I have all these annoying traits.
God, yes.
Oh,
It took
I feel
it
that.
was a family doctor that I saw. I've been seeing her for about 3 years, I think. And she was the one that suggested to me, I'm pretty sure you've got ADHD. Like I've met with a lot of people that do, and I think you need to get assessed. And so sometimes it just takes one person with that knowledge to kind of, tell someone, hey, maybe you should get that checked out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's so true. I mean, I wish that as a kid, like not knowing that I had ADHD, like I wish that I had this experience where I constantly felt different than other people and
Mm.
misunderstood. And if you think about the way ADHD functions, you're probably set up to feel misunderstood and like you're different than other people. So, I mean, big shocker, right? But I wish that I had known you that my like I wish somebody would have told me your experience of life is going to be different than other people's experience of life. Like,
Yeah.
I really just wish somebody had said that to me, because I went through my early life, even in early adulthood, assuming that even though we're all very different people, that our experience in life is at many turns similar or the same.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just not how it is. people can experience the world. In fact, two different people can watch the same thing happen, and they would take away two different things based on what they chose, what they saw, what occurred to them first, the meaning that they assigned to words or body language. I wish that somebody would have sat me down and said, you're just going to have things different than other people, and that's okay.
Exactly.
And
That's okay if you
yeah,
do things differently.
yeah,
What works for one person might not work for you, and that's okay. Even if the way they do it is considered, quote, the right way, what most people do.
yeah,
Most people probably hang their clothes in a closet, but for some people that just doesn't work. They got to use a dresser or a pile system or whatever. And that's
yeah,
okay. There's no judgment there. Just everyone do what works for you. That's what I wish I'd known, is that, these things in our society that you feel like, oh, I have to do it that way because that's what other people do and they're successful. And so I should emulate them. It's
mm-hmm,
like, that might not work for you at all. And that's okay. I will never be able to use
right.
a planner. You know how many planners I've bought and thrown away after like 3 weeks? I mean, I can't, you know.
So many.
So many, because I
Yeah.
always think I'm going to be a different person when I buy a fresh new planner, and it's like it's just not going to happen. Yeah.
That's Isn't
I
that such a
gave up
great
on
line?
that nonsense fucking years ago. Like
Yeah.
I know myself so well that I know there's no way in hell that I will ever use a planner. I don't
Mhm.
understand people that use planners.
I know.
I use
I
lists,
want to be the person.
visual
I want to
lists.
be the person that uses a planner. That's the thing, It's like
Yeah,
I want to
that would be
be that
great.
organized mom that has her shit together and makes cool snacks for her kids that are
Mhm.
homemade. I want to be that, but I'm just not.
Yeah,
And so I think I've
Yeah.
had to accept that about myself.
yeah,
I'm not going to be like other moms. I'm not going to be like other women. That's okay.
yeah,
Just do what works for you.
You know what?
exactly.
If I had to hold up a mirror to myself and other women, it would be so depressing to me because I am so good at my job. I am so good at what I do, but everything else falls apart.
Hmm.
I'm a I'm a decent mom. I mean, I think my kids feel loved and I do the things that I'm supposed to for them. I do wake up, make their breakfast, make sure that they're taken care of, they are fed, they are sheltered, but I don't have time to help them with their homework. I don't even have the ability to remember that they even have homework, but their grandma steps in and helps them with that. So, so I have a support system. But if I didn't have that support system,
Yeah.
I can't even imagine how messed my life
You'd
would
have to
be
make
because I can't
accommodations.
do housework.
Yeah.
I'll tell
Yeah,
you,
I
because I don't have that support system, and I'll let you know. I'll let you in on a little known fact. My daughter's homework pile right now is
Oh
enormous,
no.
and it's not. Yeah, because she has ADHD. I'm pretty certain we're getting her assessed as we speak. So, take this with a grain of salt, but I'm fairly certain she has ADHD. She does not remember when she has homework in her backpack. So, I almost always forget to ask her, and I've been really transparent with her teacher, of like in this year's conferences. I've been like, look, this is my last year of master's degree study. It's going to be a shit show. I am not going to have her homework in on time. I'm really sorry, that you're going to get a whole lump of homework at the end of the year, but that's just how it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And she, like, I just kind of had to tell her that at the front. And normally any other year I would have probably, been super embarrassed, but I just knew it was going to fall apart from the start this year, and
Dude,
it sure
that's a
did.
great example of asking for an accommodation, you know? You
yeah.
knew that you were going
Yeah,
to need some extra time to do that. That's such a great example.
yeah,
Yeah. I'm so glad that they
Yeah,
oh,
accommodated that
I
thanks.
think so
request.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
See,
felt like an idiot saying it out loud, though.
Oh
I
oh
was
no,
like,
no.
I
that's
felt
the thing.
like I
We
like
do.
there was even part of me going, "Why are you saying this right now?" And then the other part going, "Shut up! You're not supposed to try to hide this stuff." And like,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
so it was such a I don't
No,
know,
that's
back and
good.
forth
That's
with
like
myself,
that is
but
like unmasking in action right there. Is like say admitting like I know I'm gonna need some extra accommodations on this, so I'm gonna ask for it. The worst thing that can happen is that they say no, you know?
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, but it
that's
is
true.
hard to ask for that. Like you said, it was probably really awkward and uncomfortable and but worth
Yeah,
it though. Sometimes it's worth it to take that risk to ask like, "Hey, can I just have an extra 30 minutes, for whatever, but for your own mental health,
mhm,
sometimes you know what you need and it's good to ask.
Yeah.
yeah.
Just yeah,
Yeah,
sidetrack there.
I'm
Yeah.
actually glad in hindsight that I had done
No,
it.
that's
Yeah.
great.
So I highly recommend it to any other ADHD parents out there that are struggling with their kids' work and like have some kind of horrible work project, or maybe they're in school too.
Mhm.
Yeah, just say it out loud, because once it's out and they will understand.
Yeah.
But also be sensitive, because their teacher might also have ADHD, and
Oh,
dropping a
yeah,
bunch of
true.
work on them on the last minute is also not kindness.
Mm. Maybe you
So,
Yeah,
could turn it
no.
in
yeah.
chunks.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that
So,
was my biggest concern is, oh my God, I'm gonna overload this person at the very last
Mm.
minute, you know?
No, but that's a good thing that I wish I had known is that it's okay to ask for help or to ask for things to be a little different for you. It's not selfish. It's like, you just got to figure out what you need so that you can be your best at work or in a relationship or as a parent or whatever you need.
yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's okay. No
And
shame in that.
also, yeah, and also know your limits. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I devote my time and my mental energy to working. I can either be an amazing mom or an amazing teacher.
Yeah.
It's very hard to do
Yep.
both.
Yeah. We only
Yeah.
have so much energy and so much time in a day. And so, but I'm
So
sure that
true.
there are days where you're not working and you're spending the whole day with your kids and, getting
Yeah.
that quality time in. So it's not like you're working 100% of the time, it's balance.
No, and I don't neglect
No,
them.
no, no.
So
That's the thing.
I'm not
That's a whole
neglecting,
nother
but
episode, but you are a good mom. And I think that we are too hard on ourselves a lot of the time. I think we're really
yeah.
fucking hard on ourselves, especially in this modern society, modern parenting. I won't get into it, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and speaking of
Yeah.
Reddit,
Yeah.
I was looking on Reddit, and there was this like rant, like this person ranted. They were like, I just got an promotion in my job, and my house is completely a mess, and I feel like I need to hire a house cleaner, but you know, I don't know what do I do? And I'm like, you get more money,
Hire
hire
a
a
house
house
cleaner.
Do
cleaner.
it.
Well, yeah, what's the problem?
Exactly.
Yeah, you like
Use the tools and the
focus on your
resources.
job.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. You got money. Focus on the
Mm-hmm.
job. Get a house
Yeah.
cleaner. Like, but there were
Yeah.
other people saying, like, there were other people being like against it, and well, with people in the economy that they haven't been making a lot of money, and salary changes, and it's kind of for you to post this. It's kind of like
Hmm.
I'm thinking of a Japanese word.
Like ableist or like uh,
What's it also in English? Arrogant. There we go.
oh, I
Oh,
see.
arrogant.
Yeah, but I was like, no, dude, she just like she feels mentally overwhelmed. She's good at her job, and she's just saying like she's asking for people to, kind of support her and like be like, yeah, just get a house cleaner. Like sometimes we
Right.
need other people who are like us
Mm-hmm.
to be like, yo, dude, that's okay. Because we feel the
Oh
shame.
God.
We don't feel
Mm-hmm.
okay with it. And so sometimes
Yeah.
we need people like us to be like, no, dude, it's okay.
It's okay to DoorDash
Yeah.
that. I know that money's tight, but it's okay if you don't have the mental energy to cook dinner or to even go out and get dinner. Just do what you need to do to survive mentally.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, hell, it's my whole goal in life to be wealthy enough to be able to afford a house cleaner, just so I won't have to clean because I'm lazy. Like I
It's
I
good
mean,
motivation to work
I'm
hard.
not I'm not this is me being an arrogant turd. I want a house cleaner
Cheers.
just so that I don't have to clean my
Mhm.
own house. I feel like I've spent years cleaning up after other people's vomit and urine and feces. And guess what? it's my turn, bitches. It's my
That's right.
turn. So
That's right.
at some point, if you hear me just gloating away that I have a house cleaner, no, number 1, I used to clean houses myself, and number 2, I've earned that shit, bitch. Earned it.
That's right. We all deserve to have things that help make life a little easier, I think. Even if they're little things. I know not
Yes.
everyone has the privilege and the resources to have a housekeeper or someone to come mow their lawn, like I mean some of us are just barely a lot of people are barely making it right now. So, but I don't
Mhm.
know. I just personally feel like I'm not going to let myself feel guilty if I treat myself to something, that makes things a little easier for me. And
Yeah.
because I know that if I just try to go too hard and do everything the hard way, then it's just going to backfire and I'm going to have a meltdown.
And that's a
Yeah.
hot tip for new people with
Yeah, yeah,
ADHD.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't try to
Don't
do
everything.
everything.
Shame.
No, cut
Yeah.
yourself a
No
break. I
shame.
mean, it's like I know a lot of people with ADHD are people pleasers. We have a hard time saying no when people request things of us. Yeah, it's really hard. You're both raising your hands. It's so
Yep.
easy to overcommit to shit. That's one thing I wish I knew when I got diagnosed. That's like an ADHD tendency is to overcommit because you've told too many people yes, and then you don't have enough time for yourself, and then you crash and burn. And you can't do, like you were saying, Annette, you
Yeah.
can't do everything. You can't be amazing at everything. So that's okay.
Yeah. I'm 100% agree with what you
Yeah,
just
thank
said.
you.
Like, I
Yeah.
totally feel the exact same
Yeah.
way. Because when
Yes.
I was younger, I was trying to make everybody happy. I
Yes.
still have that tendency, and it's
Oh,
exhausting.
the worst. Just worry about making
Yeah,
yourself
because you
happy
Yeah.
want
and
to,
then and the important people in your life, and that's all that matters.
yeah,
you know.
because you just exhaust yourself doing things for other people that
Yeah. And you can
probably don't even
that's
appreciate
what
it.
I would recommend to
Yeah.
people. Learn
True.
learn how to say no. God, it's the most freeing thing. I mean, it's just in the last couple of years that I've learned how to say no and it feels so fucking good. I love it.
I wonder if all of this people pleasing and thinking of others and trying to be like uber
Yeah.
considerate of other people's feelings and thoughts and needs and all of that stems from how many times in our childhoods we were told, you're being selfish. You're taking up too much space. You're being too loud. You're talking too much. Think about other people. Would you want somebody like that right next to you, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And how many times have we heard things like that, so it was just hammered
We were
into our
shamed
heads that
for
we
it.
had to
Yes, shamed for it over and over again.
yeah, that we had to like think of other people before thinking of ourselves. And it's funny to me because I have other friends who don't have ADHD, and I'll hear them, talk about certain things that they did, and they didn't think about other people and how that could affect them, and then later they were like, "Oh, well, I guess that is a different concern." And I'm just like thinking, "Well, how do you not think about this stuff?" And this has been a thing for me for years, going, "How do certain people just not think about stuff like this? How are they not considerate?" And what I it's taken me a while, but I think that those people out there just haven't, like, they didn't have to have it hammered in
Hmm.
to watch their behavior so strongly that it became, like, pathological.
Yeah, or maybe they were only children who, if they were doing something annoying, nobody was telling them to stop. So,
There might be some of that too,
who
yeah.
knows?
You never
But
know.
yeah, it is interesting
Who
though.
knows?
Yeah. Gotta find
Yeah.
that balance, I think, between being nice, showing love to other people, helping others, but also knowing your limits. And you might need to go through a phase, through a season in your life where you just don't have a lot of social commitments because it's too much, and that's okay.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. I guess that's another thing I wish that I had been told early in life is you don't have to make everybody happy.
Yeah.
It's not your purpose in life to literally make everybody around you happy.
Mm-hmm.
I wish that somebody
Yes,
said
we're
that out
all
loud.
responsible for our own happiness.
Yes.
Yeah, and I also want to circle back to something you said about why do we feel like we have to please people? I think another big point to consider is that because having ADHD and forgetting things, we're always putting ratchet in other people's plans from
Oh,
the minute we're
totally.
children. And so we are constantly having people getting angry at us
Yeah.
because we've been
Yeah.
doing
We
these
forgot
things,
to
and
do the
it's not that
thing
we
that we were
meant
supposed to
to.
do, and so we let people down. It happens over and over.
And then we feel
Yeah.
bad, and then we overreact by trying to make everybody happy because we're
Yes.
so tired of constantly being the bad person,
Oh my God.
constantly being the
That is
disappointment.
so true. You get that
Yeah.
that guilt in your head, like, man, I haven't been texting that friend back very much, and so I better make it up to them and like really work on texting more this week or what. I don't know. It's like we get so into our heads
Mhm.
about what we should be doing, and I don't know. I don't think there should be a lot of shoulds like that.
Yeah, but maybe that has something to do with RSD too, like the
Yeah.
wanting to people please has a lot to do with a connection between ADHD and
Oh, that's
RSD
true. Keep people
because
happy, they
you
won't get
know
mad at you. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
yeah, and you won't be
Right.
rejected.
Right. Yeah,
Right.
we're all about keeping the
That's a
peace.
yeah,
Yeah.
good thing to think about. I didn't I didn't consider
That's
that
so
connection.
true though. It's like a self-defense mechanism almost. Like if I can just do
Mhm.
everything for everyone else,
Yeah.
they'll be happy, nobody will be upset, nothing bad will happen, and then I'll be fine. Yeah. It makes sense in your
Yeah,
head,
Yeah.
exactly.
but like reality just doesn't work out that way. I mean, we
No.
constantly God, like
Mhm.
just today, for example. So yesterday I looked at the calendar and saw that my kids had a dentist appointment at 8 a.m. today, and they were going I'm divorced, so they were going back to their dad's um after school. And yesterday I was thinking, gosh, I wonder, he has the kids, but I wonder if he needs me to take him to the dentist. And then I just completely forgot to ask him about it. Completely forgot. And then I forgot that the dentist appointment even existed. And then I realized
Mm-mm.
I had that appointment on my personal calendar, not on the shared family calendar. So he had no idea there was a dentist appointment. And the kids just completely missed their appointment. And I got the phone call from the dentist, and I was like, oh shit. Like, I mean, the only explanation for this is that
Oh
just my
no.
ADHD got the better of me when I made the appointment, and then when I remembered it but then forgot to check. I mean, there's just like there were so many things that went wrong. And so today I was feeling kind of guilty about that this morning, like, God, they've had this appointment for probably 6 months. And I felt bad that we were no shows because I know that's a hassle for the business. And then I just felt stupid, kind of in front of my ex, making a mistake like that. But I just had to kind of have a pep talk with myself and be like, it's okay. This was just a mistake. You did not intend for this to happen. It was just an ADHD fail, basically. And so that's okay. We're moving on. I called and
Yeah.
scheduled a new
It's all right.
appointment, and no harm, no foul. It's not the end of the world. Not a big deal. But yeah, you
Yeah,
just
and
gotta, that's another thing I wish I'd learned, is that like you need to forgive yourself for when you make mistakes, because they will always happen. You will never be able to completely fix this.
yes, and so you just gave the best example to my next like
Oh,
topic
good.
here, because a lot of people were saying that working memory and executive
Yeah.
function is what they wished they had known about before, like when they were diagnosed
Oh
with
God,
ADHD,
it's
that
everything.
you literally yeah. And so I was watching a YouTube video. There's a psychiatrist named Dr. Russell Barkley, and he's a specialist in ADHD, and he's really interesting. If you ever get a chance to watch anything from him, it's very, very enlightening. And I sent you guys a video, but
Oh
Yay.
yeah,
what he
I
was
did
talking
watch
about,
that. Yeah, I forgot about that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's
That
chock
was.
full of knowledge, and I really
I don't
like him.
remember
Yeah.
it at all because ADHD, but I remember liking the video and commenting on it when you sent it to us. So yeah,
Yeah.
remind me what it was about.
Oh.
Oh, well, this is a
Oh,
different
never
one,
mind.
but it's the same one. The one I sent you guys was something on TikTok,
Okay.
but this he was he was talking about executive function, and what he was saying is that, the back part of your brain is where you process knowledge. The front part of your brain, your prefrontal cortex and all, that's where you have performance. Okay, so your emotional regulation, your decision making was all done in the prefrontal cortex, the very front area of your brain. All of your neural connections for knowledge and all of that are stored. Your memory is stored towards the back end of your brain. Now, what ADHD does is you don't have a problem necessarily with performance, because when
We
you want to
don't?
do something, you do it
Oh.
well.
Oh, okay.
No, when
Yeah,
you want to do
that's
it,
true. What,
you can do
yeah,
it.
the key phrase being
And
want
you
to.
don't have a problem with knowledge. You don't have a problem with knowledge because, ADHD people tend to be highly intelligent, and, we can learn lots of things and you gather all sorts of knowledge. The problem comes with the neural connection between your knowledge and your performance.
Interesting.
So
Hmm.
just because you know it doesn't mean you actually can do it.
Yeah.
They don't speak to each other very well. It's like they're speaking different languages in a way. And so just because you know to do something doesn't mean that you can actually do it. And just because you have your performance is focused in something and you got to do something else doesn't mean that you can stop the performance aspect based off the knowledge that you have.
Yeah.
So you've got these two major areas of your brain that just are not communicating very well. And Bear Bell SN Books said this interesting comment. She said, or he, I'm sure it's she because it's the women's ADHD
Yeah.
subreddit. So, just this is the reason why I struggle with everything: procrastination, organizing, working memory, etc. I always felt like something was wrong with me because I didn't function like others. When I learned I had ADHD at 37 and learned about executive functioning, it all made so much sense.
Yes. Yep. That was definitely I think a lot of people's reactions when they get their diagnosis, or if they self-diagnose, it's like, it all makes sense.
Yeah. So you,
Mhm.
with your dentist appointment, with your kid's dentist appointment, you had the knowledge of the dentist appointment, but somehow the knowledge to contact your ex didn't turn into a
Exactly.
performance.
Yep.
Normal people's brains, they have the knowledge of something and it turns into performance.
Yeah.
They act upon it.
Yeah. Yeah. It was like,
But with ADHD,
I must have just gotten distracted because I remember having that thought, oh, I should text him and see if he'd like me to take them. And then I just didn't do it. It's like something else must have come up, and then poof, the thought is gone and it's never coming back until it's too
that
late.
happens to me
You know
all the
what I
time.
think it is? You know what I think it is? Because I've done that so many fucking times. I've done that
Yeah.
so many times, and I could literally just crush something in my fist right now. It's so annoying. But like I just okay, so I think that when we say when our brains say inside of our heads, "Hey, we should really do this thing because this other thing's happening, so it makes sense to do this thing, right?" I think our brain takes that as a suggestion, like a mild suggestion. It's not even like a real thing that we have to do. It's just like, if you've ever felt like it, I don't know, 20 minutes from now, you should totally just text your ex and tell him about this appointment. And that's like how it comes off in our brain, even though we know damn well that's not how it needs to
That
come
is such a
off.
good point. Yes, you're sitting there like, I need to do this important thing, but there's something missing, especially if you can't do it right then. You don't have that kind of
Yeah.
rush
Yeah.
and sense of urgency, like, oh, gotta focus. Like for me to get that, it either has to be the deadline's in 10 minutes, or like it has to happen now. There's no other thing. But yeah. So it's like if and God, it's like I should know this about myself, but if I have a thought of something I need to do and I'm like, oh yeah, I got to remember to do that thing, I'm not going to remember it. What I need to do, like I've talked about, is grab my phone and set a fucking reminder. Remind me in 1 hour to take the trash out, or remind me to do that. I can't trust my brain. It just trolls me. Yeah.
No, I either have to do it right away or like make sticky
Yeah.
notes, because I know that you use reminders in your
Yeah.
phone that is wonderful. My brain likes to do this wonderful thing, like hide and seek, and if I don't see it, it doesn't exist.
Reminders probably
So
don't phase you if you have like too much stuff going on your phone already. A reminder pops up and it's like, oh,
no,
just one more thing, whatever. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just
You
side
gotta,
swipe. It's
whatever
like,
method
get
you're
out of my way.
using, you got to respect that method. And,
Yeah, I like sticky
Mhm.
notes. I have to have my notes, like I have a notepad, like even right now, I have it on my computer, I have it open and it never gets shut. It's just my to-do list, and it's always where I can see it, and I never put anything over it, because if I put another window over it, I'm not going to see the list, and I'm going to forget that the list
Yep.
exists.
Jen, how do you,
Okay.
I love sticky notes.
Jen, what's your method of organization for tasks that you need to remember to do?
Well, I'll put alerts or events on
Yeah.
my phone, and because I got the watch that communicates with the phone, it goes to my wrist, so I don't have to like keep my phone necessarily right
Oh,
next to me.
yeah.
That was always the failing piece was, well, I put that reminder on my phone, but my phone's downstairs and I'm upstairs. So now what?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not carrying it around with me everywhere. So the watch is, I think that's
Oh,
actually helping.
we should talk. We should do a podcast sometime about the products that have changed our lives, like an Apple Watch. That can be a
Oh
really
yeah.
useful
Yeah,
tool
that'd be
for a lot
cool.
of people. Or you know,
It could.
I can think of off the top of my head, electric toothbrush, like that is so helpful for, I think,
Yeah.
people with ADHD that hate brushing their teeth. It's going to be a little more effective and a little less time, like I was saying
Yeah.
earlier, I wish I'd known it's okay to do things differently. It's okay to have accommodations. So yeah, it's okay to get the things you need that, I splurged on a nice fancy Dyson vacuum, one of the cordless ones, because that's the only way I will vacuum my house. I even tried getting a cheaper one with a cord, and it's just like, oh, it's such a frustrating experience. I knew I needed that good vacuum, and so I mean, again, it feels really kind of privileged to talk like that, but it's like I think it's worth it if you can afford it to spend a little extra on something that might really help with your ADHD symptoms.
I have a robot.
Yeah, Roomba. See, those are awesome. That's so ADHD friendly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. They really
I
are,
have
because they just
3
go and
robots.
sweep stuff up.
Nice. You got a whole army.
Oh my god.
Well, because they
But
can't climb stairs. Come on.
oh yeah. Incidentally, if you have pets, you should not have one of those,
Oh.
because if the pets ever have a house training mistake
Oh
and they put a
God.
little pile of fresh stuff, it will literally crayon your entire
Oh, I've
goddamn
seen those
floor with
posts on the internet. Yep. They just rub it in the carpet. Yeah.
so
Ugh.
so the Roomba's fine for anyone who doesn't have any animals that could potentially have some kind of accident, but if you do,
Yeah.
just I'm not saying don't get the Roomba, I'm just saying just think
Yeah,
about
yeah.
it is all.
Not every product will
Just
change
think
your
about
life and make it better. I mean, God knows I've bought way too many worthless things that I thought I would use. I remember buying a George Foreman grill, like 20 years ago, and being like, oh, this is going to change my life. I'm going to eat so healthy. I think I used it once, maybe. No.
Yeah.
That's the
Oh my
impulsivity right
goodness.
there. Like, oh, if I buy this product, it's going to make my
Mhm.
life better, and dopamine. So yeah, I guess yeah, it
Yes.
is a trap, but I do think that there are some products that are worth buying to make your life a little easier and help with ADHD.
Yeah, we should definitely
Yeah,
talk
yeah, yeah.
about that.
Yeah, but first we have to set up some kind of like Amazon affiliate program so that we can like actually make some kind of like maybe a quarter or 2 quarters a piece or something like that, because Mama needs to pay her student loans soon.
That's right. Ugh.
So the last one I want to talk about that a lot of people talked about is time
Oh
blindness.
God, yes.
They wish that they had known that that they would experience time blindness and that it was actually a thing, because nobody talks
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
it. Nobody it in the real world where everybody else lives, in the neurotypical world, they don't talk about that because they don't experience
Mhm.
it. They're able to keep track of their time perfectly
Oh
fine.
yeah.
And the
Yeah.
rest of us are like, what? I always underestimate. I always underestimate how long a task is
Oh,
going to
every
take.
time. Oh, this will just
Oh,
take 20 minutes. 45 minutes later.
Yeah.
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 Well, and then you get into the task and it's like somehow time ceases to exist and you
Yeah.
get stuck in
When
a
you're
wormhole,
focused.
and then you suddenly look at the clock and you're like an hour
Exactly.
late.
I mean,
And you're
it's
like,
a
Oh
it's
my
a
gosh.
ADHD superpower, I think, to be able to have that kind of focus where you're so into something that you just don't even care what time it is. But then it could get you in trouble because everyone else operates on a schedule.
yeah, I
Yeah.
know I mentioned this in the podcast, probably in the very beginning of the podcast, but like I'm so thankful to God that my daughters, when they went to kindergarten, their bus stop was right in front of my English school windows.
Mm.
And the bus makes a noise. The
Yeah.
bus, when it parks, it goes. If I did not have that bus stop in front of my house, my children would never be picked up from school on time. Like,
You just have to find some other way to, you have to have a sticky
Yes.
note every day reminding you, pick up your kids.
I don't think a sticky note would work in like hyperfocus because you're not looking there. But like seriously, it was like that. It was like the dog whistle.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I would hear the and I'm like,
Yeah.
shit, and I would be like grabbing my shoes and
That's
running
so
out the
funny.
door. Like, but all I had to do was round the corner, and so I was like, hey,
Yes.
and the teachers are like, yeah, again, you know. But at least it only took me like 30 seconds to get out the door. But it was a
Oh
thing.
man.
Yeah. Pretty sure my kids have the same experience of my kids coming in late, like, "Oh, again, look at that."
Oh, the
Like
time blindness is so bad. It's like, yeah, I try really hard
Yeah.
to be realistic about, like, organizing my time, how long something will take me, and then inevitably I feel like every day I just don't have enough time to do the things I want to do, but it's probably just because I don't organize my
Mhm.
time very well, but you know,
Yeah.
that's just how I am, I guess.
When I said that I wished that somebody had told me that my experience of life was going to be different than other people's, time blindness was one of those things that I had subconsciously
Mm,
rolled in there. Like, because it and I was even thinking about saying only blindness earlier before we started talking, because it is such a big deal for me personally. And I know that, with some people who have ADHD, maybe their lives run in such a way that time blindness doesn't affect them as
mhm.
much, but it really does affect me a
Yeah.
lot. So, like, I mean, with my intended field, with my field of study, like one of the things that you could potentially do with your degree is go out and be an editor. Well, as an editor, you are often tasked with coming up with estimates for how long
Mm.
the work is going to
Uh-oh.
take you
Oh
to
no.
accomplish. I know, right? I know. She's cackling. That's pretty much like, yeah.
Are you allowed to extend those
That's how
deadlines?
I feel about it too.
Can you change them later?
That's a
Yeah,
hard
see,
no for
that's the
me.
thing. That's the thing, is like, that's the one thing that's holding me back from like putting that out on my website, is actually because I have no idea how I'm going to guess how long
Oh,
it's going to
I
take
know.
to edit somebody else's novel, because it could be really variable. and I don't know how many slots to keep open because I don't know how long it will take.
Right. You don't know
So
until you're
it
in the book.
kind of puts
Yeah.
me in a position where I have no idea what kind of workload I can take on anymore because I've never tried to run this kind of business before. So I'm going to have to I'm going to have to edit like one singular novel, see how much time it took, and like very carefully catalog all of the issues that went into its correction, and then try to base other stuff off of that,
Yeah.
I guess, like, because I really just don't know how you do that. I don't know how. And maybe somebody who's neurotypical and an editor could just step in and be like, "Hey, you do it this way." And I'd be like, "Oh, hey, cool." But
Even
I
then,
just it doesn't
their
make sense
method
to
of
my brain.
measuring how long it might take them to do it might not work for you, though, depending on how you work, too, you know? I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, that's true.
yeah, like when I was really into baking and cake decorating, I remember my ex would always ask me, like, how long do you think that'll take you? And I just never knew. Some cakes were 6 hours.
Mhm.
I once spent 21 hours total on a cake. I mean, it was like
Ooh,
3 feet
Wow.
long. It was like this giant dog bone with two puppies. It was huge. This was years ago. But yeah, so
holy crap.
I just never knew until I got in there. And then, you start to go along but you just never know if a problem is going to come up or what's going to happen. We do our best to estimate how long something will take us, but shit happens or a kid needs you for something and you get
Yeah.
distracted or it's like, God, it's just so impossible to be able to say, yes, I will get this thing done with this amount of time. Like, I can't do that.
Yeah. Yeah, and, like, I mean, some people read faster than other people. Some
Yeah.
Yeah.
people probably decorate
Oh,
cakes
yeah.
faster than other people. Some people probably write songs
Mhm.
faster than other people. It's just, you know, how do you gauge how much time that is gonna take you personally? And yeah, so it's just it's one of those things that I'm not really looking forward to in
Mhm.
calculating
Yeah,
my
you just don't really
potential.
know until you do
And
it.
maybe I'll figure out a way to get around. I don't know.
I mean, we
But
just have to, like, I'm always saying this, but I feel like we just have to get to know ourselves, without judgment. Just get to know yourself. And if you know that you're just a certain way, that you're always going to forget this thing, give yourself grace. Just figure out a way that you
mhm,
can help yourself prevent it. But if it happens, it's okay.
mhm.
Shit happens. Just love yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Self care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that yeah, I think that I've never been more happy to be a teacher with like 50-minute classes than right now because Jen's like, I have no idea how long that'll take. And I'm like, I know exactly how long my
Oh, yeah.
things
You've got a
take.
schedule. Yeah. You've got,
Yeah,
15
but
minutes.
I have to be really I have to be, like, watching the clock. Like, I don't have a natural feel for how time is passing,
mm,
and so, if I get caught
Mm.
in an activity with kids, then we will lose the time to do their textbook or something, so I have to be really, really, watching the clock and aware
oh, I
of the
hate
clock.
having to do that. The
And
clock, that's the
sometimes
thing. The clock is such a distraction. Like when I'm at my therapist and I'm just rambling
Mhm.
on, not paying attention, but then I happen to look at the clock and I'm like, oh crap, we only have 15 minutes left. It's like it cuts off your flow, whatever it does. So fuck the clock. I hate time. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just
yeah.
some stupid construct that humans
Yeah, it's just a
invented
social
anyway.
construct. We should get rid of it.
Yeah, it doesn't really exist in the way that
No,
we
it does
think it
exist, and
does.
I do appreciate the
It
time
does
because
exist.
if we didn't have the time, my classes would never end and my students would
I
never
know.
go
That'd be a
home.
crazy
So,
school. It's like, we're just going to
yeah,
teach until we're done. We don't know how long we'll be here. Yeah, society would not function that
yeah.
well.
No, I have classes until 9 o'clock at night, and I have like like private
Mm.
students who just love talking. And like, if I didn't have the clock where I could see it, I'm like, oh, okay, well, what are you gonna do? I always close it off with, what are your plans for the weekend or something like that, and they'll say something. I'm like, oh, well, have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you next week. Like I need to close
Mhm.
that shit
Yeah.
down because otherwise our classes are never gonna
Yeah.
end.
Yeah.
Yeah. True. So, speaking of things that never end, I think it's time for us to go here.
Yeah.
um, we should probably close this down somewhere. Does anybody have anything else that they wanted to say?
I think we should each give our lists just quick bullet points of what we wish we had known.
Ah, yeah, that is
Just
Let's
good.
bullet point
see.
it. Pick
We
your
already
top
we already
3.
said all
Bullet
that. I
point
can't remember
it.
what I said. Just I wish I mean,
Just
I
bullet
wish
points.
I had known that it's okay to do things the way you want to do them, even if it's not the way that most people do them. Fuck other people. Just do what works for
Mhm.
you, you know? Yeah.
Yes, I feel that one. So, yeah, the whole do what
Mhm.
you need to do to survive, that's and to
Yeah.
thrive, that's what I would echo that. Also, the time blindness, that is
Yes.
so real. And the connection to RSD, I wish that I had known
Yeah.
about that. I wish that I had known specifically about, emotion
Oh
dysregulation as well, because
yeah.
that's a huge
Big
part of my
one.
life. Yeah.
Yes. It's so easy to be
Yeah.
like, why are these feelings so big and I can't control them? And like, what's wrong with me? You know, it's like, it's emotional dysregulation. It's no big deal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't judge yourself. It's just, it is what it is. Just ride those feelings out. To me, feelings are like the weather. You know, it's a phase. Just let it pass. You'll be better. Okay. You'll be better soon. Don't judge yourself.
Yeah, I agree. The connection between RSD and people pleasing. I
Mm.
wish I had known that, and that RSD was a thing. Emotional dysregulation. I wish I had known that's a thing, and that's why my feelings are so big and annoying. And I wish I had known that my a lot of my tics and the over talking and all of that wonderful things that I thought was a personality flaw are actually symptoms of my ADHD.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so much. There's
Yeah.
probably a lot of things about me that are just personality flaws still as well. But, you know, a lot of them are ADHD, and it's
Yes.
nice to be able to have an explanation for that.
Yeah, it is really nice. And I know that they're like, you could probably ask a bunch of different ADHD people what they would want to have known at the outset, and they would probably come up with all these other really awesome suggestions that like I never that
Well,
I
and it's
haven't
different for
thought of
everyone too.
here.
We all have our own unique experience. We are all
It
our own
is.
universe inside our little heads. And so ADHD, your ADHD brand is going to be your own unique crazy brand. And so enjoy it.
Yeah.
It totally will. But no matter what it is that, makes you you as far as your ADHD is concerned, if any of it becomes troubling, it's always advisable to either talk to a trusted friend, relative, or a counselor or other kind of therapist. I know we say that really often, but it's so important. And there are so many people who still have a very negative opinion of therapy and counseling. And like, guys, I'm not even gonna mince words right now. That literally has saved my life.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't express how helpful it can be, even if it feels like it's gonna get messy, because it will. Even if it feels like it's not something that you really want to do. It's not how you'd prefer to spend your time. It's, maybe your relatives will look down on you. Maybe some of your friends will lose respect for you.
Yeah.
Well, fuck those guys. Do what you need to do, because it will
Oh,
absolutely
and
benefit
one
you.
thing we talked about before the
So,
show, I know, is that it is normal
oh,
to not click with your healthcare provider the first time. If you go to therapy or if you go see a psychiatrist and you're like, oh, I just feel like this person is not listening to me, they might not be. There's a lot of shitty doctors out there. So don't give up. Don't give up.
yeah,
It's normal. Try to get a recommendation from someone about who
yeah,
you can see so you don't waste any time. That's what I should have done. I had to see 3 psychiatrists before I found one that I was like, okay, I feel like they are actually listening to me and are going to help me out here. So it was long and frustrating and expensive, but
yeah,
totally worth it.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. Different counselors are different people, and some people click with you, some people
Yeah.
don't. So that's just that you just if it's not clicking, find a
Yes.
different
Don't give
one.
up.
Just kind of trial and error,
Yes.
unfortunately. But um thank you everybody out there who's listening and, maybe commiserating and relating to all of these lists we've come up with of things we wish we'd known before we had our diagnosis or when we were littler. I know that a lot of people are probably like, ooh, that was a good one. But, you know, thanks for listening. If you have any questions or if you want us to do any specific topic in future shows, you can always email us at basiltovpodcast@gmail.com or go to basiltov.com to click on the contact page and you can contact us there. Or if you catch us on Reddit, you can always just send us a little message there too. Any old way that you find us, and then we'll talk about what it is that
And
you
thank
want
you
to
for
know.
listening, everyone. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have a good day and
Basiltov.
Basiltov.
Basiltov.